Hello everybody, my name is Caden, and today we are back with our Prehistoric Fauna zoo exhibit thingamabobber that we've been doing. And today we are building what is, out of at least the builds I've finished at the time I'm recording this, the probably most ambitious one I've ever done. Mostly because, also, I would say the animal, I think it's the Sillosuchus. You can see me quickly spawn one down there and then quickly dispose of it because I needed a height reference and I don't think there's a skeleton for it, so I don't think I could just spawn one in like that. Anyway, this is our Sillosuchus exhibit, and this is pretty rare for me. Or part of this build is kind of an oddity for me because usually, if you guys are familiar with the channel, usually we just build an exhibit. We build an area for the animal to go, we build a little viewing visitor kind of area for it, and that's about it. But as you can very clearly see from the outlines on your screen right now, we're actually going to do a backstage area for this. And the backstage area is, you'll see it in a bit, but it's semi-inspired by backstage areas for like elephants or giraffes or animals of a similar size to a Sillosuchus, which is a fairly large animal and does actually present actually I'm going to get into that in a different video I've got planned that should be coming out at some point. It'll be a bit of a different one for, I guess, just a spoiler for it, but it'll be a bit different than the usual kind of content we put up on the channel. So I don't know, look forward to whenever the heck I actually finish it and upload it. Anyway, it's a fairly basic exhibit in terms of design. Like for the actual enclosure part where the visitors are going to be seeing, it's your typical concrete moat. Well, I guess this is an actual moat, not dry moat. Like, oh wait, I haven't done a dry moat yet in the series. Well, not that you guys have seen at least. I know there's a dry moat coming, you know? I don't know why I'm hinting at it. A dry moat's not really all that exciting. But anyway, we're kind of laying out, this was a build that I probably needed to plan out a bit better, and there's, well, technically only 3 shelters, but there's 5 little buildings attached to the back of this enclosure, and to be honest, the first one is pretty bad. I do not like how the first shelter turns out. It's this large squarish building that I'm kind of working nearby right now. Anyway, that one doesn't turn out great. I don't think the connector for the center holding area turns out great either, but I think those connected shelters turn out fantastic. They kind of actually set the theme for what the shelters were going to be for the rest of the Triassic area, and to be honest, might actually be what I do for most of the rest of the shelters in the zoo. I don't know why, I just really like the style I ended up going for. But anyway, you can see me filling in the moat there. Mostly because when you get an animal like this, any sort of large creature that can be potentially very dangerous to humans, and especially in this case, something that weighs probably about as much as an elephant, it's kind of hard to build exhibits for them because, how do you keep something that big in a defined area? And I went for a dry moat, or not dry moat, a regular moat for this one. I think a later exhibit I've tried fencing. I think it's the Camarasaurus, actually. I have an actual like elephant fence kind of thing for it. So I guess that's more of like assumed like a hot wire kind of thing. But anyway, that's irrelevant. You guys don't need to know about the future stuff. You probably want to know what's going on here. Yeah, so the basic idea was this first building is meant to be like a barn. Again, like I said, a lot of the inspiration for this was literally lifted from like giraffe and elephant buildings, which usually are kept in very large barns because, well, that's a building meant to house a large animal. So I thought that turned out cool. The Mayan brick planter, which I kind of started doing in the last 2 episodes, is something I actually integrated into this one as like a major feature of the... I mean, we kind of did that in the last one too, but not like this. And I don't know, I think it turned out really cool here and is, I don't know, something I think I'd like to do in more builds in the future. I also really set myself up for a challenge with this build because, and actually with the Diectodontant, whatever it's called, I've got its name actually. If I move some things around, it is the Ishigolestia. Ishigolestia. Okay, that thing. That thing's building is built at an even weirder angle, so I wanted to make everything not on a right angle, and so here obviously I've tilted all the buildings to be on a diagonal, which I think looks really cool in the end, but it does remind me why I don't like doing these big builds on diagonals. It's not a lot of fun, but it does look cool, and it definitely separates things out, gives it a more interesting, natural look when not everything is facing the exact same direction. I think I've been playing a bit too much Prehistoric Kingdom, because that has definitely influenced how I've built these. I built it more like I would build in that game, and that is a lot easier to do buildings at random angles than this game has. Anyway, that's a random, thing, not relevant to the build. As you can see, those second two buildings, like I said, are made out of brick, and I think they look really good in the end. I hinted at this in the last video, but I kind of was like, ooh, you know what'd be cool? What if we made like a little story for this thing? And I think I was thinking about that about now, but I really liked the idea that literally like maybe there had been like, maybe an industrial parking lot or like some storage warehouses or something near where this park was built, and they literally just took or maybe like, those were old storage facilities for like food or something, and they literally just went, well, we obviously need some space to keep these dinosaurs, so they just kind of retrofitted them into that. Also, I guess then in the headcanon, the wooden buildings are the new ones. They're probably a lot nicer for the animal. I'd probably guess better ventilated. But yeah, anyway, that's that. That's what's the word for that? I got to think back to my English class days of foreshadowing. That's the word I'm thinking of. Good old foreshadowing, we gotta follow through from previous episodes, thread lines, We've made this as serialized content now. I mean, I guess it technically is serialized content, right? I am using that word correctly. Or is serialized content where there is no plot? You know what? I don't remember. It's been a very long time since I've been in any sort of setting or class where I've had to use any of these words. You know how it be. Anyway, yeah, a lot of this exhibit is literally just the buildings. People might be disappointed with the actual look of the exhibit because, like I've said in the previous two episodes, I did try to go for a more semi-realistic look for this zoo. I'm not pulling from Jurassic Park. In fact, that's the number one thing I'm trying to avoid. If I have something where I'm like, I'm not sure how this should look for this animal, the last thing I'm doing is looking up like a Jurassic Park style build for it. Usually I just go for the nearest animal, the closest animal I could find. Like for this, giraffes and elephants. For the Herrerasaurus, I think I looked at leopards and panther exhibits. For those small animals, I looked at stuff like prairie dogs and wombats. For the Sillosuchus, which is the last build we do for this section, I looked at a lot of, I think, lion exhibits. And for the Ceratosaurus, which is the only other one the only Jurassic area I've actually finished currently, I took a lot of inspiration, oddly enough, from grizzly bears, and I might actually, you know what, you guys can leave it in the comments right now if you want, but if you guys would like, maybe I'll start putting the reference images I use in the actual videos, although maybe that'd be a cool, maybe I'll make that its own video or something. Like, you guys can just I mean, you guys have been asking for a how to build an exhibit or how to build a zoo video, excuse me, for the longest time, and maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just it probably won't be a very long video, but it'll probably just be this is what I do. These are where we look. This is the kind of stuff we look at to figure out what we're doing. And I'll probably make two of those videos, one for dinosaur stuff and one for actual zoo animals. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of that. Let me know if you guys want to see content like that. Anyway, another thing I think people will probably bring up, and is a very valid criticism of this build, is the visitor visible part of the build is very small. there is not a lot of room. And I went in knowing that, which is why you also see these backstage areas get expanded several times, or got expanded several times. Basically, I realized there was not enough space, and I think this build was like 2 hours of building. I was getting pretty tired by the end of it, and I just needed, it was like, and I had stuff to do as well, so I was like, you know what, we just gotta, we gotta finish it. I might expand it later. We'll kind of see what happens. It might also depend on, I guess, if the mod updates and stuff, and we have more animals to add in to the Triassic area, then I might expand this out later and just kind of give them a bit more room to roam. But I kind of went with the idea of, yeah, maybe the front area isn't the biggest, but I'm probably also like, maybe we only ever have 2 out there at a time, and then 1 is always in a holding pen, so it kind of maximizes the available space. I don't know. Again, it's not a real zoo, so I don't have to worry about the things real zoos would have to worry about. Like, probably the amount of food these guys would eat, which is terrifying, considering how much, you know, just like a loaf of bread costs. I don't want to think about how much, like, I was about to say, like, hay that these would need to eat, but they probably wouldn't even eat hay. You'd probably literally have to resurrect some sort of prehistoric fern to feed them, which that must also be immensely expensive. Anyway, I don't know what's going on about that. Another thing with this that you'll probably see in a minute or two, the ground texture for this, it's a very plain looking exhibit. You'll see that more in the final shots, but I guess right now, basically, I just made a cool little dirt pattern, and that is the entire build, because much like in real life, with elephants and giraffes and rhinos and other large animals, they will trample over any plant you put in their exhibit, and if it's edible, they will eat every plant in your exhibit. So typically, there isn't a lot of plant life in these exhibits, which is why I also built the planters to start with, because the planters, I realized, were a great way to add vegetation around the enclosure with it being less likely to get eaten or stomped upon by our lovely dinosaurs. But yeah, anyway, that's almost it. I think we're just throwing in the final details here. Yeah, anyway, I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I think that's all I've really got to say about it. So thank you all for watching. Hope you've all enjoyed. And yeah, there'll be some cool little end cinematics for you to watch. And yeah, bye.